All right, welcome back to episode 4 of the Hot Take Sports Podcast with Clayton, Brady, Matthew, and Isaac. We're going to start today with the college football playoff. First game was Alabama-Notre Dame. I don't know about you guys, but I really was not surprised with how Notre Dame played during that game.
Nope, not at all.
I wasn't surprised at all. I think Devontae Smith showed exactly what was going to happen. And, he's a Heisman winner for a reason. So, I think he displayed everything that, made him a Heisman winner. I'm not sure if they contributed that into the final result. But I know that Devontae Smith he not only secured himself as a first-round pick in the NFL draft, but he absolutely secured Alabama a win. And without him, it honestly could have been closer. Alabama still would have won, in my opinion.
It would have not been closer.
I think it would
What
be
do you
interesting.
mean it wouldn't have been closer? It absolutely would have been closer.
I'm going to say.
With a playmaking wide receiver that's as good as Devontae Smith, he's the best player in college football. Obviously, if they don't have him, they're going to not score as many points.
That would be why.
Plain and simple.
That would be why he won the Heisman.
Yeah. Without him, I agree with you, Brady. Alabama probably still would have won that game, but it would have been much closer. Matt, what do you think about the Alabama-Notre Dame game? Do you think Devontae Smith, if Alabama didn't have Devontae Smith, do you think that Notre Dame would have made it a lot closer?
Closer probably, but through and through, Alabama's just the better team, one way or the other.
For sure. Alabama proved why they were the number 1 seed that game. For sure. They proved, in my opinion, that they were deserving of that and were the best team in college football in the regular season.
Yeah, they've looked like the most complete team all year for sure. Because Ohio State, up until the Clemson game, really, their defense has lacked all year. But they actually looked really good against Clemson. So that's kind of like a highlight going into this game, is if their defense can play well.
Speaking of which, let's reflect on the OSU-Clemson game for a second. Brady, we'll start with you for this one. What are your thoughts, takeaways?
For me, I think that, obviously Justin Fields, a great game. Definitely. Justin Fields and the Ohio State receiving corps absolutely had an air raid attack on the Clemson defense. But for me, the main highlight to me of Justin Fields in that game was an intangible. He after he got beat up for the second year in a row by the Clemson linebacker, he walked over to the sideline, or I guess he more of like a rushed hobbled over the sideline, stared Ryan Day straight in the face and goes, "We are not going to lose this game." He wasn't even concerned about him being hurt. He just stared Day in the eyes and goes, "We're not going to lose." For me, that's a huge intangible. Absolutely true, genuine determination and competitiveness. That's a huge step for Justin Fields, and teams are going to notice that. Teams are going to want that, especially teams like Atlanta or Detroit, who struggle with winning and good mentality. They're going to need a good young future leader like that. So I think Justin Fields not only displayed why he should be a top pick in the draft this year, but I also think that he showed what he brings to the table, both on the field and in the locker room. But outside of that, for me, the defense actually played a lot better than what I was expecting. I was expecting Clemson to come in and blow us out.
Yeah, I was expecting pretty much the same as last time. I was expecting Trevor Lawrence to come in, throw a couple of bombs, and then just run all over him. But he was fairly well held in check the whole game.
One thing that is overshadowed, though, in this game is that Trevor Lawrence still had over 400 yards.
Oh, yeah. Trevor Lawrence played really well as well. But I'm going to say,
Fields just played a lot better.
Fields and Lawrence both absolutely showed why they are supposed to be 1 and 2 in the draft, depending on what New York does. And based off of rumors that we will discuss here in a little bit, Fields even has a dark horse shot at actually going over Trevor Lawrence. Now, will it happen? Probably not, but the slim odds are there.
Brady, why you brought that up? I think Fields can hop over Trevor Lawrence if he gets a major upset win tonight.
I disagree.
Ohio State would have to win by 70 points for him to hop Trevor Lawrence, and that's not going to
And
happen.
he would have to throw all 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
To happen.
No, he'd have to throw 8 of them and then run the other 2.
Run the other two.
Yeah, run the other two.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, I would argue, is one of the best quarterback prospects of our lifetime.
Which is why.
Oh, I'm with you.
Easily.
But see, now here's a real question for you as well. Outside of, obviously, Joe Burrow last year, we've seen other majorly hyped up quarterback prospects through our lifetime go into busts. I believe the Ryan Leaf draft was actually before our time, but
That was before us.
I think it was 2007. I think was the Jamarcus Russell draft. The Raiders took him number 1. He was supposed to be he was one of the best college QBs at the time. Number 1 pick. And a lot of people saw how that went. Another quarterback, actually. I'm not even sure if he ended up getting drafted or not, but his name's Aaron Murray. I believe he still holds SEC records for, I think it's touchdowns and passing yards in an SEC career. And last we saw him in game action, it was the AAF. And I don't even think he started. So a lot of times, like, the really hyped up QB prospects don't always pan out. So I think it'd be interesting to see how he pans out and if his talent truly stands up to what it's expected to be.
Well, the problem is the NFL is acting like the NBA now. They're expecting that if you're going to be a first-round pick, you should be able to come and play immediately. All of these college quarterbacks may not even understand that the NFL is a completely different game. Most of them need at least a year to develop, and they don't get that anymore. They are immediately like, oh, you couldn't come in and be Peyton Manning, Tom Brady? You're useless. Throw him to the bench. Draft another guy.
That's actually what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. They sat him behind Alex Smith for 1 season, and then traded Alex Smith to D.C. And
Exactly.
we all see how Mahomes came out.
When you guys talk about a rookie QB stepping in and is supposed to take over the team, the first person that always comes to my mind is a guy named DeShone Kizer.
DeShone Kizer.
The Browns drafted him in the 2nd round, the season after we went 1-15, which would have been in 2015. And
RG3.
we proceeded to go 0-16 the next season, and he was benched several times for guys like Cody Kessler. I don't even know where Cody Kessler is anymore.
I don't know. Last I knew of, I'm pretty sure he signed in New England after that, and then they cut him.
Last time I heard of Cody Kessler, he was in Jacksonville.
I just know that after Cleveland, he bounced between New England and Jacksonville a little bit. Well, I went to the Browns Packers game. DeShone Kizer definitely could have won that game. They were in OT, and DeShone.
That was the best game the Browns played that season.
It was
no doubt.
Yeah,
it was 4th down. I watched DeShone Kizer trying to throw out of a sack. He threw the ball straight up and into the hands of a Packers defender.
And that's why you can't have a rookie quarterback come in and be your starter every time. Because sometimes they just make those immature decisions. Because it's a lot easier to throw out of the sack from a college kid than a, 30-year-old lineman who's been playing the game a lot longer.
Yeah.
The Browns tried to do that same scenario with Tyrod Taylor. When we drafted Baker Mayfield, Tyrod Taylor was the starter for the first part of the season. And then he got hurt. We brought in Baker, and Baker started the rest of the year. If you're going to be successful in the NFL, you really almost need to have a veteran quarterback at least on the roster at the very minimum.
I can agree with that.
That way rookies can ask questions. get a little bit of mentoring, anything that they may need to prepare them for, hopefully, a long and successful career in the league.
Speaking of
Like Baker still has that today too.
Yeah, but speaking of career or quarterbacks with hopefully long and successful careers, I really wish the Bengals would have taken that approach with Joe Burrow because he definitely wouldn't be hurt now if they had. But I mean, hopefully he comes back in 2022. I mean, he could come back late 2021, but I don't want him to come back at all next year. I don't want him to rush it back. Let Ryan Finley be bad for a year. Get the Bengals another high draft pick. And then you're set for hopefully a run at that point because it looks like the Steelers are on the decline. But speaking of last year's reigning Heisman and college football champion, how about some predictions for tonight, boys?
This will be a very good game. I want to start there. Before I even dive into anything else, my predictions, why I think, what I think, no. Anything else, this will be a good game.
Well,
Plain
I
and
hope you're
simple, I cannot pick against the Buckeyes. I'm going 31-30 Ohio State.
I knew you were going to say 31-30.
Well, yeah, dude. I will say 31-30 until the team I pick to win 31-30 loses.
Guys, someone just bet $500,000 on Ohio State, and if Ohio State wins, he gets $1.3 million.
That's
Imagine
crazy.
having that kind of money to bet on a football game.
But could you imagine if he wins?
Could you imagine if he
Crazy.
loses?
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure either way, he's gonna hate his life. Just kidding. I mean, if he wins, he's not gonna hate his life. But I
I
mean,
was gonna say, if
you
he
could
wins,
bet
if you got
$500,000, you probably have the money to bet $500,000.
I was gonna say, but I mean, evidently, if he did it, he's not afraid to lose. So he must be pretty comfortable. But I mean, I'd probably bet like $1. Come out with like
A real investor.
come out with like 260 or something like that, because Ohio State's odds are they're plus 260. So, well, we'll see. I think Ohio State pulls out a close one, but I think it'll be more along the lines of 49-45.
Oh, so you think it's going to be a real shootout?
Well, see, here's my thing. Actually, it was about a half hour ago, maybe 45 minutes now. A report came out that Blake Hallbeal, which is the Buckeyes kicker, is out tonight for COVID.
Yeah.
right, I
So
saw
at
that.
this point, it's going to have to be a shootout. Ohio State probably won't be able to kick a whole lot of field goals. I mean, I've seen. I know their backup kicker isn't bad, but when you have your best kicker, who's been your starter for like the last 2 or 3 years, in your second CFP final since its creation, if I was Ryan Day, I would trust Justin Fields to go ham on third down and just hope and pray you don't get to fourth down.
Matt, what are your predictions
okay.
for this game?
I think it's going to go exactly how I thought the last game was going to go. And Alabama's just going to walk in and do exactly what they should. And they're just going to walk all over Ohio State. And Ohio State's just not going to know what to do against their defensive scheme. Score 38-24, Alabama.
Last but not least, Isaac, what you got?
I'm going to go with a shootout here too. I'm going to say 50-55. Ohio State wins.
Do you think there's going to be 100 points in a championship? I guess it is college. It's not the NFL.
Hey man, if
You don't
Patty,
see a whole lot of
but-
100-point games in the NFL.
hey
I'd
man, if
for
Patty,
sure say they're a
if
lot
Patty
more popular
Mahomes
in
and Jared
college.
Goff can combine for 104 points on Monday Night Football, there may be an outside chance.
Ooh, another thing I wanted to bring up tonight, guys, because Brady, you brought up the NFL just for a second. The regular season game of the year. Do any of you have any thoughts? Because if not, I know what I would like to say.
For NFL,
personal game of the year.
for the NFL.
Yep, regular season game of the year.
Oh gosh. Oh man, that's tough because I mean obviously there's a bunch of games to choose from.
Right.
I'll probably go Browns-Baltimore the second time they played.
Of course you would.
I mean that's
was a
definitely
great
that's
game.
definitely up there for me. Honestly, that's up there. Bills Cardinals is up there for me too.
Yeah,
So it's
that would be a good
probably
one.
one
The
of those
ending
two
of
for
that
now.
game was incredible.
Yeah.
So it's probably definitely one of those two for me. I mean,
The
I'm
Chiefs
sure I'm
Raiders
missing one.
shootout was a good one too.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Two other really good games were I mean, I guess I don't know as much if 49ers or no, I think it was Cowboys Rams on the first Sunday Night Football of the year. I mean, that one might not be as good as I remember it being, but it was like a close, low-scoring game. But to me, like obviously Patriots bias, but I think Patriots Seahawks Sunday Night Football Week 2, Cam Newton lost the game on the goal line. That was to me that was actually like a really entertaining and like intense game to watch. So while it may not be like the game of the year, that one's also definitely up there for me.
So what is it, Clayton? What do you think?
It was Isaac's game. The Browns lost to the Ravens on a Monday Night Football game, 47-42. Both teams that game ran the ball all over each other's defenses. Nobody was stopping Lamar Jackson. Nobody was stopping Nick Chubb that entire game. Lamar Jackson goes out with an injury. The Browns get on a little bit of a roll because the Ravens have to play Trace McSorley. Like a scene out of the movie The Waterboy.
You dissing my boy
Lamar
Tracer Storley
Jackson.
over there.
Hey, he's a backup QB. He's a rookie stepping into a big
He's
game.
a goat.
Chill. This is coming from the guy that owns a Cam Newton jersey.
Hey, do you have a song? I don't think so.
Hey, did your jersey have an MVP award? I don't think so.
Was it with your team? I don't
No,
think so.
but it's still a player.
He's not the same player that he was in Carolina.
Well,
You can't make that argument. He's not.
wasn't making an argument. I could have told you that much. Obviously, he's not the same player in Carolina.
Whatever. Back to my story. Like a scene out of The Waterboy. Lamar Jackson shows up, throws a bomb to Marquise Brown. All right, whatever. The Browns are down a touchdown now, I believe.
Leads Clayton to a
Browns
fantasy win.
score to tie it up. The Ravens get the ball back. Justin Tucker does Justin Tucker things, kicks a game-winning field goal. The Browns try to lateral everything, but the ball goes out of the end zone, back of the end zone to lose 47-44. As heartbreaking as that game was, that truly was my favorite game to watch this year, even if my team didn't come out on top, because it really kind of had everything. It had crazy scoring. Each team was making ridiculous plays. It was just an all-around fun game to watch.
Well, and if we're lucky, we'll get a round 3 of that game.
No
Hopefully,
way.
that would be
That will
incredible.
not be how that happens. We will have the bark and bite of the Browns versus the table breaking of Bills Mafia. That game will go to Orchard Park with fans, and it will be an insane atmosphere.
Why do you think that the Bills will beat the Ravens, though? Because the Ravens have been rolling the last couple of weeks. They're in a groove. Everyone's playing well.
Oh, I
Almost
agree.
Everyone is
Really
healthy over
called
there.
a groove, though. They really did not look all that good on their game on Saturday.
Saturday. No, they played Sunday. They were the first game Sunday.
Yeah.
That's why. They really didn't look all that good the whole game.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Clayton. The only reason they won that game is because of their defense. Because the Titans came out, got a 10-point lead, and then scored 3 points the rest of the game. Derrick Henry, I think he had less than 70 yards on the ground.
He had 19
He
yards
looked,
in the first.
like I said in our group chat on Sunday, he looked like he did when they played against the Browns. He really didn't do anything.
Well, I'm
at
sure
all.
the Ravens watched that game and just schemed the exact same way.
Quite literally, the Ravens are going to have to play a very solid defense against the Bills' receiving core and make Josh Allen run. Because Diggs and Beasley have both been very good all year. Obviously, Diggs led the league in receiving yards.
Right.
Cole Beasley come up huge in clutch moments.
Beasley's a great second option for them.
And I mean, no, don't get me wrong. John Brown looked like garbage against Indianapolis. He had a few drops, but they're even getting guys in the receiving core like Gabriel Davis, who had 2 insane sideline catches. I'm pretty sure the toe tap in the end zone was also him. Like they're getting contributions from guys all over their receiving core. Even Dawson Knox, their tight end, has been playing well. They need to throw Josh Allen's passing game, and they need to dominate Josh Allen, put on pressure, and make him run. That's what the Colts did. That's why the Colts almost came back and won. But no, I definitely think it'll be Josh Allen in making it the AFC Championship game, whether it be against Baker or Patrick Mahomes. I mean,
Before we move on to that, we have got to talk about the Cleveland Browns game yesterday.
Oh, I actually have a fun stat.
Oh,
I actually have a fun stat on that, by the way.
Gosh.
Let me find the tweet really fast.
Baker's
guys,
the oldest.
Oh, here it is.
I have been a Cleveland Browns fan my entire life. I've never seen the Browns have a winning record before. But this season, 11-5, there's a first. I watched them qualify for the playoffs. There's another first. And to put the cherry on top, for the first time ever, I watched them beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh and win a playoff game.
All right, guys.
Yesterday was a good start, for sure.
So
I'm totally with you, Clayton.
They'll get crapped on by the Chiefs anyways.
yeah,
Hey,
Relax over there, Chase Claypool.
That was the point.
so
Somebody.
So the Browns-Steelers score last night, 48-37, was the first time that ever that score. It was a scoregami, as they call it. The 1,066th unique final score in NFL history, coming behind Cleveland's record-breaking first quarter.
That was a wild first quarter.
That is
I
the
didn't get
greatest
to
first
watch
quarter
it.
of football I've ever watched before in my life. No questions asked.
And
Man, I was so sad. I was downstairs making a sandwich, and I get a text from my COVID brother in his room that just says, "Please tell me you're watching the game." I'm like, nope. And then I just get this list of texts from you three. Oh my gosh, what the heck? How is this possible? Are you kidding me? I'm like,
We're
is
all
it
on
good? Is it
LSD!
bad? I'm so confused. I'm like, what's happening? I got ketchup on my hands.
bro, Marquise Pouncey is he came out and said he's probably going to retire. The
I don't
first
blame
snap
him.
in his final playoff
that-
game turns into a Browns touchdown. Like that one hurts to go out on if I'm him. That one hurts.
That was a play that instantly came to mind when that happened was the Super Bowl in 2013.
Yeah.
We got Broncos,
I know
Seahawks.
exactly what you're talking about.
First play of the game, snap goes directly over Peyton Manning's head.
That was an insane game. I remember watching that. I was at a church Super Bowl party. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, wow.
I remember sitting there blown away that the Broncos were just getting their butts handed to them by the Seahawks that night. It was
The
insane.
Seahawks almost went back-to-back the next year. That little window right there, the Seahawks were insane, and nobody talks about it. Like, there are honestly some days where I forget the Seahawks even won the Super Bowl there. That 20...
And Russell Wilson's never been an MVP, right?
I don't think so, actually.
No.
The first 3 or 4 weeks of this season, he was one of the front runners for it. But man, talk about the most disappointing team in the NFL.
I think it was like week 7 and beyond, because I'm pretty sure he was in contention the first 6 weeks. Then week 7 and beyond, Russell Wilson was like average or maybe even below.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett went from like, even just fantasy wise, went from like a 25, 30 point per game scorer to just like 8. Like, what?
Chase Claypool.
Chase Claypool had like one
Chase
game.
Claypool had
Nobody-
one good game.
Nobody owned him in fantasy until he had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah,
in the
then
game.
that was me. I lost the playoffs. I
Yeah,
didn't start him.
You picked
Would
him
you
up
guys
at,
believe me
what,
if I told you that Russell Wilson has never received an MVP vote in
Are
his
you
entire
serious?
career?
That's insane.
Not a single
I am
vote.
serious.
Wow.
Up
Wow.
through this season, so this article was written before the 2020 season, through his 8-year career, a total of 19 players have received at least one MVP vote.
Wow.
Not one of them was Russell Wilson.
He's
That's
been in the
just
league
disrespect.
for 8 years already.
Yeah.
That's hard to believe.
So do you think he needs a change of scenery?
Yes.
Is it time for Russell Wilson to leave Seattle?
That's tough to say
I
for a
see him as
couple of reasons.
a lifer. I don't think he leaves Seattle. I think he needs to go to the front office and have some changes made. Not necessarily even on offense.
Lost
Their
Yeah.
defense, their pass
Yeah,
defense,
their
was
defense
terrible.
is awful.
Their secondary was even worse than the Browns. I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah,
Facts.
That's what-
One are 12th
themselves.
yeah. They
corner
went
of
from
the
the Legion of
season.
Boom to the Legion of Garbage. So
Exactly.
Richard Sherman left.
They were
Earl
really-
Thomas left. They went. Cam Chancellor retired. It was just bad after that.
So who does move this year?
Who does move this year? Actually, I don't think Carson Wentz moves anymore. I think Carson Wentz is now going to stay
Really?
put. Doug Peterson got
I still
fired.
think he gets traded.
Doug Peterson got fired
Earlier today.
Yes, earlier today, Doug Peterson got fired, and there are a ton of people who have came out and said, now that Peterson's gone, and he is mainly who wanted Wentz gone, there's a much more significant increase of Carson Wentz's return. Obviously, Jalen Hurts has proven that he can do that. So obviously, I think that they roll with Wentz until the trade deadline. If he's not doing that well, they'll trade him.
But it depends on who their new coach is. Are they bringing in somebody new, or are they pulling somebody else from underneath, the offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, or whatever?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting for sure just to see. Because obviously, whatever the Eagles do is going to affect Carson Wentz. It's going to affect Zach Ertz. It's going to affect Jalen Hurts. Obviously, it's going to affect everybody on the roster, but it's going to affect other teams too. There are teams like Indianapolis, who, with Phillip Rivers most likely retiring, are probably looking towards a new quarterback.
I hope he does.
San
He
Francisco
needs to.
could be in the market for a quarterback. New England is in the market for a quarterback. Denver, maybe Pittsburgh, maybe Las Vegas, maybe Chicago.
You know who's not in the market for a quarterback though?
The Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns.
No, I don't care about the Cleveland Browns. The Washington team of football.
Bro, Taylor Heineke
Oh my
went
gosh.
off.
Heineke
Talk
was
about
dog,
a debut, dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
facts.
is it a fluke? I mean, that's a big game to come in and call it a fluke.
That is true.
I mean, Tua at one point
This could
came
end
in
up
and
into a
rescued Bama, so we'll see where he is now. And like, I know that was in college, but we all see where he is now because of
This
it.
could turn into a Cardale Jones type situation. Us as Ohio State fans are familiar with that.
Cardell.
JT Barrett goes down during the Michigan game for the season. Cardale Jones steps up, wins 3 huge games, the Big Ten title game, defeats Alabama in the first college football playoff semifinal, and then defeats Marcus Mariota and the Oregon Ducks to win the national championship. His decision to go back to college completely shocked me because they were projecting him as potentially a second-round pick at that point. But he chose to go back to school, and I don't even think he ended that season as the starter. I think Barrett ended up winning the job back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they gave it back to Barrett. Is that the year?
Last I
the year
heard, he was
Braxton
in the
Miller?
XFL.
That's the year Braxton Miller came back as a wide receiver, right? It's 2014.
Yeah.
And didn't Braxton Miller also go to the NFL that year?
He was in the NFL for a little while.
Honestly, I know he was
I
in
don't think he
Houston.
stayed very long.
So I know he was in Houston as a
Mhm.
receiver.
Floating around teams now, I believe.
Yeah, he's just a practice squad guy.
As is realistically JT Barrett. He was on the Saints practice squad at one point.
That's where I remember hearing him last, was with the Saints.
Speaking of the
Yeah.
Saints, quarterback jobs opening up. Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, or outside sources, boys.
Does Drew
None of
Brees
the
even
above.
retire? We'll start there.
I call none of the above. I still think Drew Brees is coming back. I don't think he's done yet.
I think it
I agree
depends
with that,
on
Matt.
how this playoff run goes. I think if they get really close, he comes back. But I think if they lose this week,
How much closer is really close?
I think
Do you think they have to beat Tom Brady to be considered close?
I think if they
Like-
make the NFC Championship game, I think he comes back. Like
But what if they make the Super Bowl and lose?
then I think
Is
he
that
has
too
to come
close?
back.
And he has to? Okay.
If he
okay.
gets that close, he's literally only here because he's chasing a Super Bowl, because he's on a team that has the offensive weapons and realistically the defensive weapons to help him get there.
On a good day, yeah.
I mean, Kamara, Mike Thomas, when they're both healthy. I mean, don't get me wrong, Mike Thomas is known to
Emmanuel
many as the
Sanders.
slants king, but it evidently works, so you can't get too mad about it.
Yeah, hey, he's setting records and scoring touchdowns, so.
But I mean, I think at the end of the day,
And he finally got
if
healthy.
Drew Brees can outduel Tom Brady, I think Drew Brees comes back.
I don't think that this will be, as much as everybody's going to say that, it's the battle of the old men at quarterback. This will not be a battle between the Buccaneers team and the Saints team. It'll be a battle between Sean Payton and Bruce Arians. It'll
see
be a
it.
massive chess game, and I cannot wait
That's
to
gonna
watch
be
it.
it's gonna be a great game.
It's going to be a good one.
We got blessed with a really, really solid playoff slate, because I think every game. I'm not 100% sure about the Green Bay and Rams game. I'm not sure if that one will be as close. But
It all depends on what Rams
the other
team
three
comes out.
games are going to be insane as long as the Browns defense appears.
Exactly. That's the Rams Packers game and the Browns Chiefs game is this. They're the exact.
I was gonna
same
say
game.
A
yeah.
good
There's
thing
one
about
heavy
the Browns,
favorite.
the Browns game, we're supposed to get mostly everyone back.
No.
So,
See,
that helps.
but
Yeah, they should be healthy for the most part, and they'll have their head coach. But it all depends on what Browns team shows
to
up.
me, the games hosted by the 2 seeds are going to be the 2 close games. Or at least the 2 closest.
I was going to say, do you think that the Browns or the Chiefs comfortably win that game?
I mean,
Is that what you're saying?
I don't think there's going to be anything comfortable about a Cleveland Browns win over the Chiefs, unless Patrick Mahomes goes down in the first half. And even then, good luck.
I don't know if the Browns have the secondary to stop the Legion of Speed.
I mean,
we just have Denzel
I think
Ward.
say if Denzel Ward comes back, they might have a chance. I'm not sure how fast Ronnie Harrison
But Denzel Ward's one guy. They need 3 guys to be able to defend.
I mean,
receiving
I
door.
know Ronnie Harrison does a really nice job as strong safety. He came over from Jacksonville heading into this year.
I am excited to see Kareem Hunt in that game.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
He was fired up in the locker room after that game, dude. I saw a video of him on Instagram yesterday. That'll be a good one. I'm excited.
I would love to see him rush
watch
for
him
like
do it.
150 yards and 2 touchdowns or something like that. Just go crazy. You know what? Hot take. There it is. Kareem Hunt, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Oh, I mean, I can see it.
Here's my hot take for this game. The Browns defense gets 2 interceptions.
Ooh,
That is my hot take for that
stole
game.
that right out of my brain.
Here's why.
Hear me out. Go somewhere that route.
Hear me out. Patrick Mahomes had 15 dropped interceptions this year. That's the most ever by a quarterback since they started keeping that statistic. The Browns defense had no right to get 4 interceptions yesterday. None. I've never, ever seen a Browns team get 4 interceptions in one game. Never. Ever. Obviously, Kansas City is going to be a better team than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh just got off to a hot start and went 1-5 the rest of the year. Do the Browns get that done? Can they get that done? Giving up 500 passing yards to the Steelers. That was not a good start. But at the end of the day, they still found a way to win that game.
Yeah, but they only give up 500 passing yards in that game because they only gave up like 50 rushing yards. So, I mean, it was a very one-sided attack.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Right.
I think if the Steelers didn't choke away the entire game in that first quarter, the Steelers would have won. They literally put their own hand around their throat. And they gave it
just
up.
Didn't have an answer for anything the Browns were doing.
I'm going to say,
in that first quarter.
The first play of the game literally kicked the Steelers to the ground immediately. And then the Browns won again and again and again. And then they got real quiet. They're in the midsection of the game. And in the fourth quarter, they were like, all right, got to put up some insurance points. Make sure we don't choke this away.
But you can't get quiet against the Chiefs. For the Browns to beat the Chiefs this coming weekend, the defense has to score.
That and I think
at least get stops. At the very least, we have to force 3 and outs.
Baker's gonna have
Yes.
to match Mahomes pass for pass on the offense. If
right.
Mahomes,
Not necessarily, because the
I
Browns
disagree.
can
Yeah,
easily
Brady.
win that game with their run attack.
that's
Yeah, the Chiefs
true.
are not good against
but
the
the-
run.
But the Chiefs can also go and do an end around to Tyreek Hill, and they're already halfway down the field. They don't necessarily need a run game because they have the Legion of Speed and Travis Kelce.
which is why the Browns might just have to play as a slow game. They might just have to bully up the middle, 3-yard runs, 3-yard runs, 3-yard runs, until they happen to bust something through and have like triple the time of possession as the Chiefs and just slow the game down, keep it low scoring, and hope that they get the best of them.
Yes.
I feel like that's the way to win that game.
That is
That's
definitely
the way that the Browns need to attack that game.
That's definitely the
For
way
sure.
they have to play it, though.
I'm surprised they didn't play like that last night, honestly.
But they didn't have to.
Yeah.
I mean,
The defense got 4 picks and a touchdown. I mean, instantly.
I thought at one point they're going to have to because it looked like the Steelers were coming hard there towards the end.
Well, but I think that's what they were doing in the third quarter when they kind of, it seemed like they went to sleep, but they were just kind of pounding it up the middle and taking their time.
The Browns had 2 straight 3 and outs in the third quarter. After that, after the Steelers punted on a 4th and 1, they went for the possession game. Nick Chubb went up and scored a touchdown.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
We need to have plays like that. Keep it slow, not necessarily go 3 and out. Keep it slow. Keep the Chiefs' offense off the field as much as possible.
The Browns can't go 3 and out. Because as soon as they go 3 and out, it'll be a touchdown the next 30 seconds. Going the other direction.
To me, the Browns D-line needs to have the best game of their season this year or this weekend, because
getting to Patrick Mahomes will be
the
huge.
Chiefs have one of the better O lines in the league, especially on their outside. At right tackle, they have former Brown Mitchell Schwartz, who's one of the better tackles in the league. They have a really solid O line all the way across. But if you can bust through the O line, make Mahomes leave the pocket, the Browns greatly increase their chance of taking a win there.
All right, here's my hot take, boys.
All right.
Baker Mayfield will have 300 passing yards with 20 rushing yards, and he will throw for 4 touchdown passes.
I'm just gonna tell you right now, they scored over 40 points. Baker had 266 and 3. I'm not even sure
Baker never goes for
I'm
300
not sure the
yards.
last time Baker, if he has ever
That's
gone
not-
over 300 yards.
Like we said earlier, the Browns need to run the ball. At the end of the day, we
Yeah.
have one of the
They just
best
need to let
rushing attacks in the
Kareem
league.
Hunt go wild.
We need to run the ball.
Honestly,
Let both of them go
I
wild.
want to see the Browns try to run the Wildcat formation. I don't think they will. I just want to see him try it, just to see what would happen.
No,
The Browns are great off the bootleg, dude.
Oh, yeah.
We need
the
to
Browns
keep
need
doing
to
that.
stick to what they're good at. Play action, roll Baker out to the left, let him make 5-yard passes, and just let them run from
You
there.
can't tell me that the Browns aren't trying to come up with something just to pull out of their back pocket in case of emergency.
They have to. I don't
That's
think
what
it's
we
the
have
Wildcat.
Jarvis Landry for.
I mean,
Yeah, we have
that is
Jarvis.
facts.
I would love to see a touchdown from Jarvis Landry today. That game.
Yeah.
That would be
I'm going to say,
great.
and the Patriots had the same thing with Julian Edelman. But you have to remember, after you do it enough times, teams get very aware of it. In fact, that's why Julian Edelman's only done it twice, because after he did it the first time, everyone's like, hey, we see that. Not going to do that. So
They've
the
only
Browns
done
just need to
it
make
once
sure
or
that the
twice,
Browns
though.
just need to make sure that if they're going to do it, they need to absolutely bamboozle the crap out of the Chiefs defense so they don't even recognize what's going on.
And they've done a good
That
job
is
at
indeed
that
what a
when
trick
they
play is
were in
supposed to
it.
do.
Well, I mean, obviously, that's why it's a trick play, silly.
All right, let's move on a little bit. A couple more things in the NFL, then we'll flip to another sport. Jacksonville coach.
Not Urban Meyer.
Rumors. You don't think it'll be Urban Meyer?
I don't see it because Urban Meyer there were USC rumors. There were all sorts of different head coaching potential rumors. But he said, I'm not going to come back. I think I'm done coaching after his last game at Ohio
But I mean, you have
State.
to remember, there are teams in the NFL that are going to be willing to give him $12 million. If the Raiders are going to pay John Gruden $10 million, who would say no to paying Urban Meyer $12 million?
The Patriots.
Well, that's because the
probably.
Patriots already paid Bill $12 million.
That was the point.
Honestly, I would be willing to bet that the Browns wouldn't fire Stefanski right now for Urban Meyer. There's no sense in doing that.
I think there'd be an outrage if the Browns
I was
fired
gonna
Stefanski.
say, I mean, obviously there are some head coaches.
I would not be happy. As a Browns
Obviously,
fan.
there are some teams that like if they have a head coach already, they're not gonna fire him. Like, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of teams like if they need a head coach, would be like, yes, Urban, come, help us win. But now you look at the openings: Detroit, Philly, Jacksonville, LA, Atlanta.
He better not coach in Detroit.
I'm gonna say, obviously,
He gets a
Urban Meyer's not gonna go to Detroit. We all know how that went. But I mean, he was at Florida before Ohio State, so I don't think he's gonna be ruling a return to the state of Florida. Out of the question.
Matt, what's your take?
I mean, I've said the whole way that it was fake, honestly. Like, I didn't think it was true at all. I didn't think he put anything into it. And even less, I thought the Ryan Day thing. I still think the Ryan Day one's not true, but I actually read somewhere that Urban Meyer had an interview and was already putting together a team if he were to get or take the job. I'm still hanging on to, I don't think he will, but it's definitely becoming more realistic the more time goes on. And I won't be too surprised if I wake up one morning and Urban Meyer signs a 3-year, $36 million contract to be the coach of the.
All right.
It
Hey,
wouldn't
Isaac.
surprise me what you said, Matt. I'm with Matt on this one. It kind of seems logical.
I'm not like 100% that he's gonna go there, but I think if he's already had an interview and he's already assembling a coaching staff, then the odds are higher that he will end up in Jacksonville than he won't. That man will end up in a Jacksonville polo and a headset by the fall. Heard it here first.
And just for viewers' sake, if Jacksonville does hire Urban Meyer, is Justin Fields their pick?
That's a great
No.
question. Maybe, maybe not.
No way.
I don't.
It's not a good question. It's a no.
Say, yeah, that's absolutely not.
Correct.
Trevor Lawrence is
like I said earlier, Trevor Lawrence is one of the best QB prospects that we've seen in our lifetime. The Jacksonville Jaguars general manager should be fired if he does not pick Trevor Lawrence, plain and simple.
Absolutely. I'm still upset that he didn't win the Heisman, to be honest.
I mean, I can see that.
Heisman.
You're happy anyone from Clemson doesn't do well.
I mean, aren't all Ohio State fans?
No, that's Michigan. You got it mixed up, but probably.
As I say, we don't exactly like Alabama.
By the way,
either,
speaking of Michigan,
yeah, fair
can
enough.
someone explain to me why they extended Jim Harbaugh?
Dude, that was the
they want to
happiest
keep
day of
losing
my
to
life.
Ohio
For
State.
$4 million a year, they extended Harbaugh. Why?
Stupid.
Ohio State fans across America
It's not
should be
stupid. I love
celebrating.
it.
I'm gonna say, yeah.
I think it was
Everyone
a great
but
idea.
Michigan fans right now are hyped up in the club. Michigan fans are out crying in the club.
Now,
Jim.
fans are at home drinking their sorrows away.
That's actually pretty
At the
good.
end of the day,
Sorry, Glenn, go ahead.
the whole point of having a football coach at Ohio State or Michigan is to beat Ohio State or Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
Whichever side
Absolutely.
you're not on.
Oh, yeah.
That is the whole point of hiring a
Oh,
coach.
yeah. And
Can you beat Michigan?
yeah,
Can you beat Ohio State? That's the whole
It used
point.
to be if you lost to them, you were probably fired. Like it used to be, your job
Unless
was on
you
the
were
line.
undefeated up until that point.
Actually, it's having this conversation with my girlfriend's dad because it's actually a really good point. Because I asked him what he thought about Harbaugh getting extended. He started laughing. He goes, "The greatest thing ever for Ohio State, my friend." And he was like, "I don't understand why, because it used to be if you don't beat Michigan or if you don't beat Ohio State, your job is on the line. You are on the hot seat, and you might be unemployed." I was like, "Wow, he's actually not wrong." No, I still don't understand why Michigan extended him. I probably won't until they eventually fire him here after the next 2 years. It won't even last his whole extension. That's my hot take on that. Get fired before it's over.
Very well
That makes sense.
possible.
Yeah, because as long as Ohio State keeps winning, eventually Harbaugh's going to get kicked out. But, speaking of Ohio and winning, the Haslam family, boys, the owners of both the Cleveland Browns and the Columbus Crew.
They're
Champions.
having a pretty good year.
The Crew are the
The Haslam's are
Crew's
looking pretty
champions.
good.
The Browns' first playoff berth since 2002, first playoff win since 1994.
First road playoff win since 1969.
I didn't hear that one. I didn't realize they're winning 94 the home game.
Man, I can't wait for the Columbus Crew next season because all we've done is get better in the offseason, too.
As the biggest Crew fan in this podcast, Matt, is there anywhere that they were weak or could improve on this offseason at all?
I don't know if I'd say weak, just inconsistent. Their defense was a little inconsistent. But, other than that, not really. They improved their midfield even further. They brought in another backup striker in Bradley Wright Phillips, who used to be the best striker in the MLS. So he'll be great to have for outside competitions. But, for coming off a championship season and within weeks, they've already gotten so much stronger and so much deeper. It'll be amazing because they've got at least 3 different kinds of competitions that they are.
Did the Crew really lose anybody?
No, I don't believe so.
They got rid of both of their backup goalies that they had, and lost a couple guys in expansion draft. But that's
Expansion draft. Who's added this year?
FC
Let's
Austin.
Oh, that's
Columbus
right.
team.
That's right. I forgot that was this year.
The knockoff Columbus
Forgot
Crew
that
team.
was this year.
I wonder what's more important. We got to get the Haslam family on our podcast for sure. We'll have to get
Haslams, if you guys are listening, we would love to have you here on Hot Take Sports. Please don't be afraid to reach out. We're on Twitter at Hot Take Sports 16.
Or you can reach out Clayton on his new Browns Instagram page.
That is correct.
Cleveland Browns
Drop
fan.
the follow.
I started it yesterday. I was inspired. Please drop a follow for daily Browns content.
My man had 6 followers by the time I was done following earlier, like 5 o'clock.
Dude, I have 8 now.
Oh, wow.
I'm
Look
moving
at you
up.
go.
Ooh.
Almost,
We got him go.
He's
Like,
almost
dude.
top mine and Matt's Twitch accounts.
Which one do you think was more important to them? An MLS Cup for the Columbus Crew, first one since
Yeah,
08?
that sounds right.
I do believe. Or the first Browns playoff berth and win. Since, what was it, 98?
94 was the last time they won.
First birth since 02.
And their first win in Pittsburgh in 17 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but the same, like 2 or 3 year window right there.
This one's a tough one.
Yes, I agree. Because the Columbus Crew were on the verge of leaving less than 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, they single-handedly
them-
saved them.
Right. And for them to come back and win a championship for the city of Columbus, that's huge. That is huge.
And winning it.
That solidified the Columbus Crew as their Columbuses. They're ours.
And I cannot wait for the new stadium.
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
It'll be
We
so cool.
are all
And they
going
won
to a
the
game
chip
together.
in their old stadium. That last game in that stadium, too.
That's very true.
Well, it's not the starting the next
There's 2
season,
next season, right?
but
Is there 2 there next season?
games?
I think
Yeah, like in March?
I think they should
Yeah,
flip those
few
to
games
away
are there.
games.
It's not supposed to be
They
open.
should flip those to
until-
away games, and just take out Montfray with a title.
They're still keeping it, though, I believe, as a
Yeah,
training
but
center.
Yeah.
I mean, what the last
Right?
game in Montfray?
built a new training center. They're having it for like a park or something like that. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up real quick. My dad's told me multiple times, but
I don't know. But
What was your dad's reaction like? Because he's been a very big soccer fan.
he was thrilled. We had stuff ordered that night, championship gear.
I believe it. I completely believe that. Knowing your family, I'm not surprised a little bit. Not even a little. I'm gonna say I've seen your guys' lovely scarf decorated wall. I know you guys love your sports.
Oh yeah.
Matt, would you
All right,
care to
so-
describe that to the viewers?
The scarf wall.
The scarf wall.
The scarf wall is a mixture of different soccer scarves, because that's the big thing in soccer is, scarves to support your team. And there's anything from European teams to there's a Chinese team up there. There's colleges
I
that
think
my dad
there's
has
a Bluffton
coached
one up there
for.
too, isn't there? I think
There's a couple Bluffton ones up there from when he coached there. We don't have
I
any
didn't realize
Finley
he,
ones
I didn't
yet.
realize
They
he
haven't
actually
made
coached
any.
at Bluffton. Actually,
He did. He was coaching at Bluffton and teaching at the University of Finley.
That's wild.
That was interesting. There's international ones up there, like the United States, and then there's Columbus Crew's up there, Seattle's up there, so a couple MLS ones from around, and then just random ones. Like there's a World Cup Russia one. So just a little bit of everything, and it literally just covers the wall all the way down. It's legendary.
It is pretty cool.
The Moffrey Stadium's going to become a training center and community sports park.
I really like that.
Okay.
I think the Haslams have done a great job there.
That's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
Well, and there's always big concerts and stuff at Moffrey, so there'll be other
Right.
stuff
They
for
have
them.
that very large stage behind one of the goals. It's a perfect place for concerts.
Rock on the Range, I believe, is what one of them's called.
Yeah.
So the
No,
really big one.
I definitely think the Haslams have done a great job though across the
Yeah.
Browns and everything that they were doing with the Crew, moving like now, previously, and moving forward. But if I was able to have a conversation with the Haslam family, I would literally be on my knees begging them and pleading them to buy that team at the corner of Carnegie and Ontario, because I am tired of the cheap
my
ownership
gosh.
of the Dolans. I'm tired of it.
The Dolan family, if you guys are listening, please sell the team. Sell the team to the Haslams.
Okay.
Reach out. Because obviously they
I'm
know
not
what they're
gonna
doing.
lie
None
to
of
you.
clowns know what they're doing.
I
know what
wish
you're
the
doing.
Indians could find their own Uncle Steve. They need their own Steve Cohen, because Steve Cohen literally just came in and rescued the Mets from I don't know of their previous owners were, but I know a bunch of Mets fans. They all hated him because they were like refused to make any changes at all.
What's causing the sudden outbreak, Brady? What? Why are you so mad at the
Well, let's see here. Within
organization
the
right now?
last 2 years, we have traded away almost it might be the entire 2016 rotation. We have let Francisco Lindor go to the Mets. We have let some franchise cornerstone players that we picked up in just walk free agency, like Michael Brantley, and now Carlos Santana as well. We've traded Jan Gobes, Kluber, Clevenger, Bauer, Lindor, Carrasco.
So, what did you guys actually get? I can't make fun of you too much. At least your team is kind of making moves. Mine's just sitting there doing nothing, watching out the
The
window,
Indians got
apparently.
the Mets starting shortstop, who I personally think could shift to second if he doesn't end up being the starting shortstop. They got another shortstop who actually was previously one of the Mets' top prospects, but he came up and actually didn't look too bad last year. I think one of them plays short and the other one plays second. They got the Mets' number 10 prospects. Number 9 is a pitcher, and number 10 is a young outfielder who's actually the 69th pick in the draft. And the Indians were actually in on him, but the Mets managed to beat him there.
Automatic World Series.
But
Has to be.
I mean,
No other option.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not too I'm not really against what they got, but I'm also not the happiest. I mean, I can't really complain because they got more than what the Red Sox got from Mookie Betts. So I can't really be too mad about it because at least we outdid the Red Sox. But I mean, so then a report came out about the Indians having talks with Lindor about an extension. The Indians offered him in the neighborhood of 200 plus, but Lindor wanted 300 plus. So I mean,
I want to know if any team in the league would give Lindor
but I
300
mean,
plus
a
right
big
now.
market team that actually has the money to do that. Absolutely, small market teams would. I mean, they'd love to, but they probably can't. But yeah,
So we can.
yeah, it'll be interesting for sure though to see what goes on from there. But then one of the main executives in the Indian organization who's actually been around through the entire time I've actually been to understand and know what's going on with the Indians. He actually went on MLB Network and they asked him about it. He said those were very painful phone calls to make, the painful trade to make, but sometimes it's the painful trades to help us grow. Because we especially in Cookie's case, we actually gotten Cookie in a trade with the Phillies by trading our Cy Young Award winner Cliff Lee, who I believe is actually the reigning Cy Young Award winner when we traded him. A painful trade led to Cookie. A painful trade brought us Franmil Reyes.
That trade wasn't
Well, I mean, yeah,
crazy
but
painful,
now
though.
after this year, I'm sure it hurts a little bit more. The Clevenger trade was kind of painful, though. The
Yeah,
Clevenger trade was
now it
painful,
hurts.
even though he's now out for Tommy John.
When it happened, though, I wasn't upset with that trade when it happened.
We were all together.
I'm not 100% sure everybody that was involved in that, so could you
The
explain that
Clevenger
real
trade
quick for the people at home?
or the Bauer trade?
What? I was talking more
The
about
Bauer
the Bauer trade.
trade.
We weren't on the Clevenger trade yet.
So obviously
Because it was a
we sent
3-team
Bauer
deal.
and Cincy. Cincy actually sent one of their top outfield prospects, and Taylor Trammell. They sent him to the Padres. That was all the Padres got. It blew my mind. We got Logan Allen, who is an upper tier left-handed prospect. He's a starting pitcher, in the Indian system. We got Franmil Reyes, also from the Padres in that trade. I mean, obviously, he's pretty much our DH now. Probably where he was going to be stuck. I know we got Puig from Cincinnati, but I didn't think he did all that bad.
Right.
During his 2 months with Cleveland, and I believe left-handed pitching prospect Scott Moss, who came from Cincinnati. Let me fact check there, but I mean the Indians trades they've been hit or miss, but I mean all of the trades that they've made over the course of since 2006 and beyond. When they traded Shin-Soo Choo, I thought that was a painful trade. But that was another 3-team trade. Sent Choo to the Reds. They brought back Bauer and Brian Shaw, among other people. And we also what that became. So, I mean, he's not wrong that painful trades will change everything. But at the same time, it's still going to hurt for a while. Especially once the Mets do extend Lindor, because I firmly believe that they will, because Steve Cohen has the money and he is prepared. I think the only thing that stops Lindor from being extended is if the Mets do end up trading for Chris Bryant. I think that's the only thing that stops it.
Sometimes you got to do the dirty work, That's part of their job description.
All right. We're going to switch gears a little bit. Matthew.
Oh, hold on. One more thing in the NFL. We got away from it before I got the chance to bring it up.
Okay.
Pretty much the last game of the NFL regular season was actually a very decisive game, and it did not go as most people
Doug
thought
Peterson
it would.
firing.
What is your opinion on the Eagles game? Isaac?
Okay. I think it was a good firing. I'll start off there. But in that game,
I'm not asking about the firing. I'm asking about
I'm
the
going
game.
on the game now. The game, Coach was an absolute idiot for benching Jalen Hurts. He literally threw that game away. And the Giants fans have every right to be mad.
But I mean, the Giants should just won more games. Plain and simple.
Well, that too.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
the
well.
Patriots should have too. Shut up.
At least I'm not crying about
Yeah,
it.
Brady. You probably are
podcast.
just off
Sorry,
camera.
I'll go to work so that I can cry about multiple things.
What about you, Clayton?
It comes down to a couple of things. Number one is kind of like what I like to call the Michael Jordan mentality. You play sports to win all the time. No matter what, you play to win. If that's your attitude, then yeah, Doug Peterson's firing was deserved. I don't think he was coaching to win that game personally.
Not at all.
No.
And there's also the portion that says, well, if they did win that game, how much would that affect their draft position? I don't think it would have affected it enough to the where they needed to throw that game. Doug Peterson deserved to be fired at the end of the day. They threw that game. Jalen Hurts should have closed it out, and the Giants should be in the playoffs.
I mean,
plain and simple.
Here, I'll give my take on it, but I mean, their draft position, had they won, it would be the 9th pick. Had they lost, which they did, it's the 6th pick, which I actually think was going to land them the linebacker that they sorely need in Michael Parsons. But obviously Peterson wasn't coaching to win. Everyone's like crying because Philly threw it because they hate New York. But I don't think that's why they threw it. I didn't.
Would moving back 3 spots really have screwed them out of the linebacker? Though
I believe that the teams that are like right behind him in that window, I actually believe that it would have. Because Detroit is another team that needs a linebacker, and they are the pick right afterwards.
Detroit needs a lot of stuff.
But I mean,
Detroit needs
but I mean,
everything, dude.
Even then, if they don't end up getting that linebacker, they very well could have a shot at Devontae Smith. Because linebacker are two of the bigger needs for that team. Do I think it was right? No, but I understand what they were going for. Obviously, Doug Peterson fired now. It'll be interesting to see if he gets a job elsewhere, for sure. But I guess we'll just have to see how that ends up.
Matt, what you got for us?
so. I've got a few problems.
All right.
One was his response after the game. Was that he refused to come out and say, yes, we threw that game because we hate New York. He said, I wanted to get this guy some touches because he deserved it. Come on, don't give us that crap. He was a 3rd string all year for a reason. He was behind a 1st round pick or whatever Jalen Hurts was for a reason.
He ended up being. Well, I mean,
He was a second
He was still at the top. He was still
Higher draft
upper
pick.
tier.
He was still the number 3 quarterback for a reason. And well, my other problem is although it had nothing, obviously this is not what Doug Peterson was thinking. But would have the Giants
I don't
really
think
done
so.
better in that game against the Bucs?
And honestly,
No way.
Washington definitely put up.
We would
I
not
was
have the
just about to
legend
say
of
that.
Taylor Heineke.
Doug
if they wouldn't have
Peterson
thrown that
throwing
game.
that game literally
That's
changed Taylor Heineke's career, probably.
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean, when
this
you get right down
honestly,
to it.
like, Taylor Heineke is probably going to get a look at being a starter next year now for the potentially WFT. But just they might change their name. However, they might not. I'm not sure if I want them to or not at this point because the Washington team of football is kind of amusing to say sometimes.
But no, Clayton, I'm with you. You play to win. You aren't staring at the standings going, well, I can screw them if I do this. And
That's
Brady,
not in the spirit of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Clayton, Brady, you know a lot better than I do, but I cannot imagine that 3 draft spots is worth throwing the last game of the season. If you're going to do that, you should have been tanking a lot earlier than
for
week
sure.
17. If you're going to tank, make it obvious.
More than the Jets, even though the Jets definitely try to change people's mind there.
The Jets even
Poor
screwed
Adam
up
Gase.
tanking, dude.
Never going to get a coaching job again.
Nah, he can go
No.
coach for Michigan after the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's true. He can be their offensive coordinator and then get the promotion once Harbaugh gets fired.
That would be great. I
Does
love
that mean
that
they're going to
idea.
hire Greg Williams to be their defensive coordinator so that way they can blitz and choke the game?
Perfect.
Why not?
Yeah,
Problem
Michigan,
solved.
0-12 coming up. Man, finally give Rutgers and Maryland some time to take some dubs.
Brady, you might want to tell Bluffton University to schedule
I
a game.
bet. Hey man, our
Oh my
football,
God.
our
Only
football
if Brady
team, our
does the
football team.
broadcast.
Well, 1-0 this fall, so there's a chance. Actually, it's more like the winter because by the time they actually got there, it's freezing, but it's okay.
All right, Clayton, where were you heading next?
How are the Timberwolves
All right.
doing?
How are the Timberwolves doing? Well, I'm glad we waited till today to do this podcast because I actually get to talk positively about my team now. We did get Cat back for one game, although we lost. It wasn't overtime, but we lost. And then we got Josh Okogie back for the other one, our best defensive player, and they pulled out a win. And I like where our rotation is heading. I like how our 10-man set has kind of changed around, and I like where we are for the rest of the season. Nobody in the entire world can question Cat's heart anymore if he really cares about the game or not, because that man took a 6 to 8 week injury with his wrist out of place, came back in 2 weeks, and I mean, any chance he could, he was holding that wrist and wincing in pain, but he played right through it and was just getting smacked and smacked and smacked around, specifically on that wrist. Like, it almost looked like they were trying to hit it. And he played really good in his one game, and I'm just sitting here like, man, wait till that guy has two hands. Now I'm excited. We got back in the win column. We're 3-7 now, I think. And our next two are against a fairly beat up Grizzlies team. So it'll be interesting. Hopefully they can rattle off a couple wins, and I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year. My hope from the beginning of the season still stands. I want us to be competing for that 10th spot to get in the play-in. But speaking of a team that should be in the playoffs, Brady, how's your team
I
doing?
think that Mike Conley is starting to show his Memphis self again. I think he's finally getting more comfortable in Utah. He didn't even have like a full regular season in Utah because obviously COVID went into the bubble. Mike Conley is starting to get more comfortable with Donovan Mitchell, Royce O'Neal, Boyan, Gobert. I think Mike Conley is comfortable now. I think Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson are both going to help Donovan Mitchell form a very, very solid scoring trio in our backcourt. So because then if we have Clarkson off the bench playing more than most starters, then at that point, I mean, obviously I'd still like to add a forward, but I mean, if Clarkson can carry the scoring weight of guys like Royce O'Neal and Boyan, then I'm okay with where we are. I think as long as we can win games.
If Karis LeVert wasn't alive, I would say Jordan Clarkson could be Sixth Man of the Year. But Karis LeVert already has at least one 40-point game this year, so good luck with that. And if it makes you feel any better, my Ohio State boy's doing the same thing.
Yeah,
he did not have much time at all last year to get adapted with the team, and he's finally kind of coming into his groove and
the Ohio State
place,
point guards
are awesome.
Slowly and surely finagling their way into regularity. I don't know. Sure.
We're going to roll with it. Cavs fan number
that's
one.
Clayton, by the way, Isaac.
I'm assuming that's me, so I'm going to go. All right. Well, the Cavs are one of the best defensive teams in the league right now. That by
Which
itself
is mind-blowing.
Shocks me.
Shocks you.
It's insane. Right now, Larry Nance Jr. is second in the league in steals with 2.7. Andre Drummond's averaging 1.3. The only real issue is, Darius Garland's not healthy right now, and neither is Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton's kind of more on a day-to-day type basis, whereas Garland is out. He's not even dressing for any games. The other big issue is just our general offense. The Cavs are 29th in the league right now in total offensive efficiency, I believe.
Wow.
So, as good as our defense is, at the end of the day, we just have to start scoring more points. Plain and simple.
Well, Kevin Porter Jr. hasn't even suited up for a game yet, has he?
Correct. There's another one. I wouldn't say the Cavs are really caught an injury bug necessarily. It hasn't been that bad yet. We just haven't been at full strength, if that makes any sort of sense.
Is Kevin Porter Jr.
No,
an injury, though?
it's personal.
Or is his...
Yeah, he's listed as personal still because of the incident.
That's
I
Yeah.
think the Cavs are trying to trade him, though. That's just my opinion.
I think Isaac Okoro
Yeah.
can fill in that spot just
That's
fine,
why I
though.
think Kevin.
And Chetty's been good this season, which is insane to me. I mean, I knew he was good, but I didn't think he was, like, a solid player. I always thought as Chetty, like, the 10th man of the
He
rotation.
hasn't been playing bad this year at all.
Yeah. I mean,
He is still out due to personal matters. I thought he was out with an injury.
my
My bad.
talking about
No.
KPJ. It took me the longest
Yep,
time to
yeah.
play my career not called Michael Porter Jr. KPJ. Switch to MPJ because I just yelled at the TV KPJ and then remember, oh, that's the wrong PJ.
Yeah.
Wrong, PJ.
All right. Cavs fan number 2. What you got?
I'm with you on what you said, Clayton. But there's two guys I think that needs to be traded this year, though. Kevin Love, and hopefully I say this right, Kevin Porter Jr.
I mean, I feel like it's really
Nailed
easy
it.
to say, so I'm not sure why you're too worried about that.
People I want to see.
Hey, he doesn't English
I
well,
want
alright? Give him a
to
break.
see traded this year. One of them probably has
Especially with the way that
okay
Larry
trade
Nance has been
value.
playing.
Larry Nance is off to a great
Yeah.
start right now.
Larry Nance will stay in Cleveland the rest of his career.
I mean,
firmly believe that.
with his father being a Cavs legend, I can see it. But here's my take on the Cavs. I think the Cavs went from having too many guards to having too many 4-type players or 2-3 type players. Because now you look at it, I mean, obviously, Larry Nance is supposed to be like the backup 4. But now, Nance is playing some of the 3. You have Okoro, KPJ, and Chetty, who can all either play the 2 or the 4 in secondary. That is 4 people that you're going to be trying to give time with the 3. And even then, I'm sure there are other people that I have no clue who they are who can also play the 3.
But you just said you don't have to play him at the 3.
But I mean,
You just completely
when you have
counteracted
Sexton at the
yourself.
2, though,
All of those guys can play other positions enough
but are you really going to
that they're
hold
fine.
one of Okoro or KPJ to the bench most of the time, or would you rather flip them and get other assets or other players after you
It would
trade
be
Kevin Love?
KPJ who gets traded.
I'm gonna say, like, at least for me, and obviously Isaac, because he was talking about it. KPJ get picks, like a young power forward to replace Caleb. I mean, unless you want to shove Nance back down to the 4 instead of Coro at that point.
But do the Cavs need
I
picks at
mean,
this point?
I
Don't
if
you
you
think
want
the
draft
core of their
picks that
team is
aren't,
already there?
teams named Oklahoma City
the
or
Thunder
New
or the
Orleans.
Pelicans. I knew you were getting there.
I mean,
But I don't think they really need picks. They've got Garland, they've got Sexton, and if they can extend Drummond, their core is
Yeah.
already there. I don't think there's a point for them to continue to get younger.
We just need to find
Oh,
good
wow.
bench pieces.
not to interrupt the whole topic here, but with 4:08 left in the second, the Wizards are up by 30 on Phoenix.
Thank
The
you,
Wizards are
Devin
playing-
Booker and DeAndre Ayton. I thought
It
both
is
of you would play
59
good
to
tonight.
29.
Appreciate it. You'll have to see it.
Okay.
All right, Matt, do we want to move to your surprise topic, then slice and dice so we can go watch the game?
All right, we'll bring this one up real quick and we'll call it a day.
Sounds good.
Matthew's mystery of the day. Since Clayton had one last time, I'll bring one up this time.
All right.
I actually heard this on another podcast, so I'm interested to hear what you guys' take is on this. Who is, in your opinion, the best kept secret in the
What?
NBA?
All right, I want to hear. I want to hear you go first, just so the rest of us know what the heck to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's a guy who is like an unsung hero. Like, who is a guy that could probably be making like a $20+ million contract right now?
Oh, got mine.
That is, or a guy that's like gluing a team together that nobody really talks about. So I think of guys like, if he wasn't hurt right now, Spencer Dinwiddie. I think he was a huge piece for the Nets. And other than that, maybe a guy like Dennis Schroeder, who's obviously behind Anthony Davis and LeBron. So he's not the big man on that team. But if you put Dennis Schroeder on the right team, he could be a 25 point per game scorer and be up there.
All right. Moving into I kind of have two. The first one, he isn't as much of an unsung hero as the second guy I'm going to bring up. But you could say Zach LaVine. I think personally he really is holding that Bulls team together right now.
For fact.
Zach LaVine is really an insane scorer.
He can do everything. He can shoot. He can dunk. He can drive. Zach LaVine, I don't necessarily want to say he's underrated, but he just doesn't get enough attention.
Everybody makes fun of him for empty stats.
Right. Because he's not on a good team.
If you switched his position with a guy like, I don't know, CJ McCollum or something like that, who's another guy who could be an unsung hero. He's like top 5 in points per game in the league right now. If you switched him with a spot like him and he was making the playoffs consistently, everybody would look at Zach LaVine as an all-star, almost maybe an all-NBA third team.
My only other one, I'll make this quick, was Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That man is one of the best
that's a great one.
forwards in the league. And I've said this on the podcast before. I'll say it again. I don't care. Domantas Sabonis could drop 100 points tonight and nobody in the
Okay, I
media
feel
would
like
say
that's
anything
false.
about it.
I feel like
Nobody.
we dropped 100 points. Everyone would.
Nobody asked you,
Nah,
Brady.
change
did
that to like 60. Change it to like a 60, because if he did the 100, he would get the little 100 Wilt Chamberlain.
Guys, I
I know you were
exaggerating
exaggerating for a fact.
That-
I'm just saying.
That doesn't change anything. Still, if he dropped 60, it would just be like, and Domantas Sabonis dropped 60 tonight, and on to the LeBron James, who had a triple-double.
10 points, 11 assists, 10
Wow.
rebounds. Good job, LeBron.
And 12
Triple-double.
turnovers.
I mean, mine might not be necessarily like as hidden as your guys is, but to me, like when you think about the Denver Nuggets, like you usually just hear Nikola Jokic carries the team. So to me, Jamal Murray is another big impact player on that team. I don't think he gets as much love as Jokic. Jamal Murray is still a great player.
Fact.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
And
like
Jamal
I agree
Murray's
with
an
you. Obviously,
insane
Dinwiddie
scorer.
and Dennis Schroeder. I agree with Clayton and Sabonis, and I forget who the other one is now. That's right, Zach LaVine. I agree.
LaVine.
Zach
But
LaVine.
now Jamal Murray is going to be my only one, but I genuinely think Jamal Murray does not get enough appreciation. And like now, this comes from a Utah fan who has seen him destroy Utah. So like, I just think he's really underappreciated overall as a player and a scorer for that team. Because yes, Jokic drops triple doubles, but
Well,
who's shooting the shots that he gets rebounds from?
and that's why Jamal Murray is so overlooked, is because he only averages like 3 assists a game. But he doesn't have to, because his center is one of the best passers in the league as it is, and the best passing center. That's been in the game
I agree
forever.
with you there for sure. I actually do have another one. I think Kyle Lowry also. Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet both don't get as much appreciation as they deserve.
All right,
That's true.
Isaac, What are you?
I
What's
have
your
two
pick?
of them. One might be okay, yeah, and one might be maybe not. I'll start with the maybe not one. Chris Paul.
Chris Paul is not a kept secret,
No,
though.
he's not.
Everybody knows Chris Paul. Now, he has not gotten as much
That's
love
why I
since he's
said
been in
maybe not.
Phoenix. That's for sure. I'll give you that. I could roll with that. If you're just talking about this year, Chris Paul, you haven't heard anything about him this
And
season.
then my second one is
But he's definitely still organizing his team.
De'Aaron Fox.
I mean, I'd probably say Buddy Hield over De'Aaron Fox for this, but
That's absolutely hilarious. All three of you picked somebody who was picked in the
What,
other
are you
podcast
serious?
that I listened to.
Really?
Yeah, Zach LaVine, Jamal Murray, and De'Aaron Fox were all names that came up in that podcast. And that's amazing because obviously they must not be that well of kept secrets. But I'm with you, Isaac. De'Aaron Fox has like all NBA potential. It just hasn't gotten to show through yet because that team's
Yeah.
still figuring out its identity.
Ooh, I actually have another one too. I think
Y'all realize
Yeah,
the
I
game's
do.
on any second now, right?
I do. This is my
Calm
last
down,
one.
Clayton.
Then
We'll
you
get
guys
there.
can
We'll
let
get
us
there.
know.
I promise.
Okay.
But I think Nikola Vukovic is also another very underappreciated player because no one really ever talks about Orlando because they don't have anybody. Like, well, they definitely have people, but like they don't have like the big headlining superstars that everyone's like, oh wow, come here, come here, come here.
Well, that's the
But
same.
honestly, you could have
I
put
was gonna
Markel
say,
Fultz in that
because
category
like
too before he got hurt.
like Miami has Jimmy Butler, Cleveland has Drummond and Sexland. You have the Celtics who have Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker, and Jason Tatum. You have the entire Sixers starting lineup at least at one point. You have the process up in Philly. You have Giannis in Milwaukee, Larry Van Vliet in Toronto, and other teams like that. Where you go to Orlando.
It's too bad Utah doesn't
I'm
have
sticking
anybody,
I'm sticking
though,
to the East though.
They've got
I'm sticking to the
points per
East, Clayton,
game
though.
center, defensive player of the year.
But
Point
I mean,
per game.
I just think Vukovic and Fultz are also both very underappreciated players.
So, okay, to wrap up, last thing, I'll give the closing words, but Clayton and Isaac, who's the unsung hero of your team? Just real quick. I don't need an explanation. Just who
Colin
is the
Sexton.
unsung hero of your
Larry
team?
Nance. Right now, Larry Nance.
Yeah, but I mean unsung, Isaac. He's Sexland.
I think
He's
Larry
part
Nance
of
is
that.
good.
I like the Larry Nance one. Anyone else?
Austin, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I
I like
thought
Chetty, yeah.
Chetty's played.
For sure. Brady?
For my team, I'm gonna have to go with Clarkson. I mean, he comes off the bench, puts up probably close to 20 points every night, and no one really ever talks about him except for maybe me. And at one point in time, Isaac.
Yeah, except for Jazz fans.
Before he
That's
went
because
to
he was with
Utah.
the Cavs
That's
at one
true.
point.
When they were the Cavs. Yeah.
Matt,
All right,
unsung hero
last
of
but
your
not
team.
least, mine is Malik Beasley because he's actually like, he's putting up 20-some
You
points
mean
per
it's not
game
Wancho?
and just works harder than anybody else. I hate you. And that's it for this episode, Hot Take Sports, episode 4. We will see you guys next week, hopefully.